Yins guys, thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. Today's December 19th. Yes, MLB is still on lockout mode, so we're going to do some things a little different tonight. Only a little news, but we're going to be talking Bucko baseball. Let's get into it. My name is Josh, joined as always by my brother Jake. What's up, Jake?
How we doing, man? Well, spent a lot of time over the past couple of weeks looking for a new car.
Yeah.
Stupid deer ran right into the side of my car. I was on the phone with you, actually, when it happened. Totaled it. So it's frustrating, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I spent the week in Disney World. All 4 parks, 5 days. Let's just say I got multiple opportunities to be a dad this week. Dude, you get to a point where you say, I can't walk anymore. And then your kid says, carry me. Mm-hmm. And you say, all right, I'll do it. That's basically how it works. But, I do have one story. So because I was going to be walking all of those days, I said, okay, I know what I'm going to do. And so one of my carry-on bags was our Normatec boots. If you guys are unfamiliar with the Normatecs, it's like this, it's compression. I forget what they're actually called, like compression massage. Basically, you get these tubes, it fills up with different sections on your legs with compression. It increases blood flow, which basically you bounce back faster. Not your heal time, but your recovery time is sped up. So anyway.
Expedited.
We took our Normatec boots with us so we could put them on after each day so that we'd be ready to bounce back the next day, all that stuff. Well, we get them out one day and it doesn't turn on. We just charged the unit or whatever. It's not turning on. The light on the back is stuck on green, but the screen's not lighting up. And I'm like, no. So I'm like, okay, well, how do you reset it? So we're trying all these things. I look it up. You reset it by taking the battery out, putting it back in. You need a screwdriver to do that. Okay, let's get a screwdriver. We got an Airbnb, right? There's a screwdriver somewhere.
Right?
No screwdrivers. No one has one. We got a truck there, and he's like, dude, I just unloaded all my stuff before the trip. Like I would have had a screwdriver.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, okay. So we're looking all at, finally we're like, let's just go. We can go to a gas station. We can get one. We can fix this. We get down to a gas station. They don't have a screwdriver. So then we go on down to Walmart. I said, I'll go in. My father-in-law says, I'll just wait outside. I'll pick you up. Perfect. How long can it take to get a screwdriver?
Right.
Cheapest screwdriver there, $350, 6-in-1. Got the different bits. Perfect. Now I know it fits.
Mm-hmm.
So I go up to the front. Excuse me. I go up to the front and I scan it. I set it aside. I pull out my phone because it's 2021. And I'm like, where the heck do I scan my phone? So then this dude comes over. I was like, hey man, like, can I pay with my phone? No. I was like, well, anywhere here, can I pay with my phone? Not at Walmart. This is Walmart in 2021.
Yeah.
Like, there's not... Anyway. So I'm like, okay. He's like, if you have the Walmart app, you can pay with that. To which I wanted to say, so you're telling me there's a way to pay with my phone? Because you just told me there wasn't. Yeah. So I'm like, all right. So I'll step aside, let somebody else. Literally $3.50 is all I need. So I get the Walmart app, start downloading it. 2%. I'm looking at my phone. 3%. And I was like, I'm not waiting for this to download. So I call Katie and I said, hey, do you have the Walmart app? And she's like, yeah, I got it. I was like, all right, open it up. Here's what I'm going to do. So this is what I did. So I went up to the thing, I scanned it, and then it comes up with what are they called? Not a barcode.
QR code.
QR code. Comes up with the QR code. I take a picture of it, send it to Katie's sister, and Katie scans the barcode off of her phone and pays for the Walmart
No.
from the Airbnb.
That's absurd. That's just asinine.
So then I go outside and Ray's like, my father-in-law, he's like, why don't you just ask me to come in? I was like, I got about halfway through this process and thought, I want this to work so bad that I'm just going to go through with this first. And so, yeah, miles away from Walmart, she paid for the screwdriver at Walmart.
That's hilarious.
By the time we got back there, I'd popped the back off, taken the battery out, everything worked perfect. So if you want a conclusion in the story, it worked perfect. But the real story was the fact that I took a picture of a QR code, texted it to somebody, and it was scanned from there. And I'm just like looking at the screen. I didn't have her on the phone at the time. I was just looking at the screen, and it was like processing your e-receipt. And I'm like, that's hilarious. And the kid came over. Crazy. He's like, because I went to take a picture of it, and he comes over and he's like, no, that's not what I mean. I felt like he was about ready to say, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
At that point, you'd have been like, is it though?
And I said, well, no, I understand. I couldn't get the app, but if this works, it's going to be hilarious. And so I'm going through it, and he's like, okay. And he laughed like he thought it was hilarious.
How could you not?
Yeah. But that's of all the things that I could have a story about at Disney World, that was the thing.
It was the Walmart trip.
It was the Walmart trip to get the screwdriver at 9:15 or so to fix the Normatec boots so that we could get our compression game on.
That's funny.
You know, there are other things, but that's my favorite part of the whole trip. So
that's good.
Yeah. So, baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just nothing going on, man.
No. I got to talk to a couple of my former players, though. A couple college ball players.
Yeah.
One of them plays baseball at Ohio State. So that was good. Got to throw some BP. Felt good to just use a baseball. Oh, it's driving me nuts.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you think Gregory Polanco maybe feels that way?
Mm-hmm.
He might sign in Japan. Probably good. I mean, he can make a little bit of money, right?
Yeah.
I think Freddie Galvis is going to make like $6 million in a 2-year deal, something like that. Like that's better than signing a minor league deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mets hire Buck Showalter as manager. What do you think of that?
I don't know what I think of that.
I guess he's going to make like a lot of money too. But
yeah. I don't know.
He's going to make more money than any of the Pirates players will make. Like he's probably going to make like $10 million. And we don't have one guy going to make $10 million that actually plays the game. Circumstantial, whatever. I mean, I know we could go sign somebody who makes that, but yeah, whatever. The last little bit of news as far as like around the league or whatever, Jameson Taillon, I mean, we say around the league, but mostly we're looking at like former players and then like mega stories, but Jameson Taillon probably going to miss some games at the beginning of the year if it gets started on time. Yeah. Ankle surgery on October 28th, and they're just not sure about the timeline. Not a lot of pitchers have ankle surgery. This guy has been through it all.
Yeah, the doctors said, what they said, they told him, you're the pitching experts.
Yeah, I don't know when you're going to be back. I deal with ankles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Jameson Taillon, hey, we're going to talk about Jameson Taillon and injuries in a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna get into Joel Hanrahan briefly, leaving the Pirates, and then with the lack of MLB like actual news, meaning nothing for the Pirates, we're gonna have a little fun. and we're going to take a look at Pirates players that we got it wrong on. Basically, we took a look at these guys and we either said, I really like this guy, or I don't see anything out of this guy, and then got it wrong. It's kind of like a fun way to do it, but I think we'll kind of bring it home in the end. Hopefully we do. Yeah. If not, it'll be a fun conversation anyway. Maybe bring up some names that you guys are like, maybe you think we're crazy for being high on them or crazy for being low on them, or maybe you might just say like, wow, I haven't heard that name. You know, little reminisce a bit.
Yeah.
So Joel Hanrahan leaves the Pirates to pursue other opportunities. And oddly enough, like if you look at his Twitter, he doesn't really tweet, but he decided to announce this via Twitter. After 5 years coaching with the Pirates, I've decided to move on and look for other opportunities. Thank you to the Pirates for giving my first shot at coaching. I wish all the players, coaches, and the organization the best. I'm looking forward to a new challenge and opportunity. What do you make of this?
I'm a little bummed. I was hoping to see him in a Pirates uniform again coaching. I was hoping he made it up to be our pitching coach.
Yeah, they seem pretty set as far as the actual pitching coach, but you could always have more assistants. You know, you can't have enough people. I think that's a fair thing to wish for.
Yeah.
But apparently they weren't going that way, and maybe he's got another team that he's interested in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sounded like, according to one of the things I read, it sounded like he does have something else kind of lined up, or at least something else that he's interested in or something, but I don't really know.
Maybe their philosophies didn't completely line up too. I don't know.
Yeah, they're making a little bit of a deal. I thought it was interesting that, like, if you read MLB trade rumors, it seems like the Pirates are changing their pitching philosophy, like, out of the blue. But, like, I don't really think that's the case. I think that because Jason Mackey wrote the article on the changes in the pitching philosophy and all that stuff.
I think it's more of the pitching development process more than the philosophy.
Well, his article was about the philosophy and the changes in the philosophy, and where they were saying, like, we're not going to pitch to contact anymore, right? We're gonna pay attention to what you have as a tool set, and we're gonna work with you on your tools and work with this guy on his tools and things like that. And yes, like, to speak to what you were saying, like, the one thing to take away from that in his article especially was he was quoting certain players and saying how much they've appreciated that and how much they've grown with that, which obviously is gonna really increase the effectiveness of your development and whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah, I'm there, but I don't see, like, this didn't change now. This changed when Sherrington came in.
Yeah.
I mean, at least that's what that's what we've been banking on. If it didn't change until right now, then what have you been wasting your time doing?
Right.
Like, we understood that they were going to be player-centric and individual, and so I think this has been going on, or else these guys wouldn't be able to testify to this, right? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But the MLB trade rumors thing made it seem like their take on it was that this was happening now. No, this has been happening. So I can't say, like, you can't put two and two together and say, well, Hanrahan doesn't like the way they're going with this. Well, if he didn't, he's been dealing with it now for a couple of years. You know what I mean? Right. So I don't really think that's it. But, yeah, I mean, obviously, Joel Hanrahan pitched for Pittsburgh right at the height of making this thing happen. All of a sudden, you know what I mean? So we have a little bit of a fan attachment to him, I guess you could say. So that's what makes it fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes you wish that if you're going to have a pitching coach, a lot of times if he's you know what I mean, you want him to say like, oh, yeah, he pitched for the Pirates. He was really good.
Yeah.
And we traded him for Mark Melancon, who was really good too.
Right.
So maybe I'm just reaching. But yeah. I don't know what I make of it. I mean, he was our like minor league coach of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you get something for that. It's not like they just give that away to former Buccos who are coaching.
Right.
So there's some value that's a little lost there. Maybe it's because there wasn't opportunities. Maybe it's just because he likes another opportunity better.
Right.
You got anything else on that?
Not really.
Not really?
Good luck, Joel.
Yeah. Good luck.
I mean, I hope, maybe his opportunity's in the bigs, and good for you, buddy.
Yeah, or at least has a clearer path to that.
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I really have, too. Joel Hanrahan's gone. We didn't really see him much, so.
Yeah.
Is what it is. All right, you ready to have some fun?
Absolutely.
All right. I don't even know that we should title this. I mean, I have in my little thing, How Could You Be So Wrong? Let's title it that. How Could You Be So Wrong? So we're going to take a look. We just went back to, I think, what did we say?
PNC Park era.
PNC Park era players, mainly just because, like, any before that and we were kids. Actually, for some of that, you were a kid. Yeah. It's like there was a couple guys you were like, dude, I was in middle school. I mean, like, I could tell you that I love this guy, but it's not like I had any, like, I was a middle school kid. You know what I mean? Oh. So for me, at least, I was graduating high school.
I was a Rockies fan at that point.
Yeah, you did your little, I'm going to go be a Rockies fan for a while before you came back to the Pirates. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
Before I grew up and wisened up.
Yeah, but you were a Pirates fan by the time you got out of high school. You were back with the Pirates by the time you were out of high school. I mean, you never really stopped. I mean, you didn't have a choice.
Yeah, no, I never.
The Pirates were what was on TV. And, yeah. All right. Anyway. Yeah, you left. You were gone from the Rockies by the time they made the World Series.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I still rooted for him the whole time.
Oh, yeah. I got you. I got you. All right, so basically here's the gist of this. Like we just went through and we just looked at some guys. And it's guys kind of like, you get that top prospect. He's coming up and everybody's super excited about it. You show up at the park to see him make his debut, all those things. For me, most recently. Not most recently. Like, we went to see O'Neal Cruz. That's most recently.
Yeah.
Cole Tucker. You know what I mean? Like, that was... I went to the game. I was like, oh, Cole Tucker's getting called up. I'm going to the game. I didn't think necessarily that Cole Tucker was ready. He was kind of forced into it because of the injuries, but it still was exciting. Yeah. I knew it was a cup of coffee, which ended up being more than a cup of coffee. And then... somehow, here we are. But the idea was that we were excited about Cole Tucker. He was exciting. He was a round one draft pick. You know what I mean? Like, this was a thing. And, a lot of us, whether we just wanted him to be good or whether we thought he was going to be the shortstop, we missed on that. So that's kind of that. Now, that's not to say Cole Tucker's still young. A lot of these are a little more sure than Cole Tucker. Cole Tucker is not a bust by any stretch of the imagination yet.
No, not yet.
It just hasn't clicked for him to go out and say, like, without a shadow of a doubt, he's our starting shortstop next year, right? So that's all that's saying. Another example would be Jose Bautista. Who knew?
What happened there?
Yeah, so obviously nobody thought. Everybody was high on Cole Tucker. Nobody really was like, oh, Jose Bautista is going to hit 40 bombs a year, X amount of years, and have one of the most epic bat flips that's going to be memed for a decade later. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, yeah, that's what he's going to be when the Pirates gave up on him twice.
Yeah.
So, no. Nobody saw that coming. But that's an example of this. That was a miss. I mean, like, you could call it a miss, or basically you could just say, I was low on Bautista, I guess. I didn't think he'd be a superstar. And so I missed on that one. Brandon Moss. You brought him up when we were talking earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He left. When we let him go, he ends up in Oakland. And what did we look up? He had like 2 or 3 30-homer seasons.
Yeah.
Something like that. So
didn't see that coming
when he didn't even hit 10. Warren Morris comes in, rookie of the runner-up rookie of the year. Whether he got third place rookie of the year votes, 15 homers, whatever his numbers were, and then
epic walk-off homer in the College World Series.
Yeah, and I didn't set my. For those of you who just heard that notification, I didn't set my focus assist. That was good. Anyway, the College World Series home run, but then even came into the majors, was awesome. And then the next year, sophomore slump, and then it turned out to be more than a sophomore slump and just kept going down. So that was Warren Morris. And then, I think he kind of like was a little bit okay with Detroit for a year, but then, I think he just went to coaching or something. Chris Benson, this is, the quintessential number 1 overall pick that just never seemed to make it happen.
Yeah, he was okay for a little bit, but just a number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
No.
Just didn't make it happen.
No.
And the most recent one that I'm going to say, which is probably going to be the one that most of you would say like, oh, come on. But whatever. Jake, you're going to go ahead and say it. Say, oh, come on. Here's the thing. Gregory Polanco was the last piece to the dream outfield.
Mm-hmm.
With Andrew McCutchen being the top.
The dream outfield that we already had.
And then Starling Marte, and then Gregory Polanco pieces in to finish it off to make this dream outfield of basically 3 center fielders is what we thought we were, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, it looked like it started to click for good at age 26. He hit the 23 homers going into September, and then, the slide in a second or whatever, dislocates his shoulder surgery right then. Season was over. 2019 was a wash. Wow, he came back from that, and it just wasn't the same. And then 2020 was another bad season, and we all went into 2021 saying, I'm done. Except for me, I really thought there was enough to say if he is able to get over the shoulder injury, he could still show something. I still think he could. I still think he's young enough to go sign a 2-year deal in Japan. And if he's capable of getting healthy, be something. But either way, he's not what we thought he would be.
Right.
We saw it in 2018. We thought he was going to have it, but this dude was just injury after injury. Could not stay on the field. And I think just the culmination of all the injuries when the shoulder surgery happened is just too much. I think he just broke down but it's there. Like the talent is there. Yeah. It could have been there. And so for me, that's an injury thing. And I think that as much as we say he was a bust, like, no, I mean, he showed us he could play well if he was healthy. The problem was being healthy. And I just think that his career was derailed by that shoulder surgery and is never the same. So Gregory Polanco would be another one where we were high on him. But the reason I say that is I don't know, like all of these guys have different reasons. Cole Tucker, career's not over. Gregory Polanco, a little more over than Cole Tucker's, but still not over. but his was injuries. Cole Tucker's was probably the fact that he was rushed.
Yeah.
Brandon Moss or Chris Benson, I don't know. I don't know. Warren Morris, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? I'm in high school when he broke into the league, so I wasn't as into it as an adult. And then Jose Bautista and Brandon Moss, who were on the opposite side of that, where we were low on them, and for whatever reason it clicked somewhere else. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know Brandon Moss was a swing change. Jose Bautista, his game was
perspective.
Yeah, Jose Bautista, his game was power. A lot of times power takes longer to develop.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be that too. Either way, it doesn't matter why. Like for the guys that we were high on, it doesn't matter why it didn't work out. Like it still counts.
Sure.
And if I thought somebody was going to be a Hall of Famer, like I could come in here and say, I thought McCutchen was a guaranteed career-long Pirate and Hall of Famer, no doubt. 500 home runs. If that's what I thought of McCutchen, then he would have fallen short of that even now. Yeah. So I would be able to put him in this list. I did not think that he was going to hit 500 home runs, but I'm just using that as an example. Like just because McCutchen was awesome and he's an MVP.
We both did say that he was going to be a Hall of Famer, though.
I thought he had a chance. Yeah. And he probably could have been.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the way that they kind of treat it now.
Yeah.
A lot of people get in that I'm kind of like, So I thought maybe he had a chance. But anyway, do we want to do honorable mentions now or wait? Let's wait.
We'll do them last. Yeah.
We'll do them last. All right. So why don't you kick it off? Why don't you give me one of your highs?
I'm going to go with Jung Ho Gung.
Okay.
Jung Ho Gung come over from Korea, and we're like, all right, we got our power hitter. Hopefully it translates. And it did. It started to. But goes back to Korea. DUIs. Gets stuck in Korea. Has to miss out on... He missed a whole year, didn't he? A whole year and a half?
Yeah. 2017, completely gone. Came back at the end of 2018 for 3 games.
Yeah, so basically missed 2 years.
Yeah.
And just
of a 4-year deal.
Yeah. And it just didn't He almost seemed like he couldn't hit himself out of a wet paper bag after that.
Yeah, I mean, he still had the home runs a little bit, but I mean, we all know what it was like in 2019. You know what I mean? And it was rough. It just felt like it wasn't the same. He didn't have a job. You know what I mean? He had to win it.
Right.
And it just wasn't the same. 169. If you're watching the YouTube, I am pulling it up. So we are going to look at some of the stat lines for these guys, but I mean, those numbers aren't good at all.
No.
In 2019. So you could see like the first 2 years, 15 homers, 355 on base. He kept that both years, even though the average dipped, he kept that on base. Slugging went up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so it looked like, you could be headed for that to continue to increase. And as the lineup was getting, hopefully getting better, this was a big part of us kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you can look at there too, his batting average went down. He was unlucky that year because his strikeouts went down. His walks went up.
Well, his plate appearances went down too. As far as the strikeouts and everything, you know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah.
He's 23 games less and about 100 plate appearances less. So, that it still doesn't add up to quite that same number. But he obviously he was walking more often the second year, a lot more often.
Yeah.
So, but so Jung Ho Gung, I'm down with that. Now, see, this is actually one of those examples where you're really high on somebody, and this is like a weird way to be, like, we're not just like this was, of course, circumstantial and kind of weird in that way, but for whatever reason, doesn't matter, for whatever reason, A guy that you thought had a chance to hit 30 homers in a year only hit 46 in his career because it only lasted basically 2 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy. So my first guy that I would have been really high on is, I know this is it's not a cop out. It's not a cop out. Jameson Taillon. I mean, we just talked about him. I said we were going to talk about him, so I'm going with Jameson Taillon. I thought coming into this whole thing that he was going to be better than Garrett Cole.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was there. I thought the attitude was better. I thought the stuff was better. I thought it was more refined. He can strike him out, but he also can pitch to contact and get ground balls, where I thought that Garrett Cole was so dominant at the strikeout that he would lean on that. Of course, you can credit Neil Huntington and the pitching philosophy, possibly. I mean, Garrett Cole could have been better in Pittsburgh had they just let him be him.
Yeah.
But either way, I thought Taillon was going to end up better than Garrett Cole. That's just what I thought. That's how high I was on Taillon. And that dude's been through it all, man. Yeah. Tommy Johns, more than once. Cancer.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like, there was just so much, and it felt like, what, he got hit in the face with a line drive? I mean, there's so many things that he had to go through that, I mean, just kept overcoming, and he's still a great pitcher.
Yeah.
But because of those injuries, no, you could say he'll never be. I know that, like, he might still win a Cy Young somehow. He's got years left. You know what I mean? You never know. But the point is, I was looking at a guy who was going to win multiple Cy Youngs, and he was going to have one by the time he left Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. And it was, it's injuries again that stopped that. But I was super high on Taillon, man. I just couldn't wait.
I think we all were. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't wait. All right, who you got? How far back are we going here? So what do we get? We got, so right around the same time, like in that kind of era.
Mine's gonna be all around in that era for this.
Yeah.
Because I got Jose Osuna next.
Yeah, you're right. Yours are.
Jose Osuna. I mean, this guy, he'd come off the bench. It seemed like every time, okay, we need a big swing right here. Let's put it, and he'd come through. He had 5 pinch hit home runs, and what was that? 2018.
2018
or 19. He had 5 pinch hit home runs
of his 10 home runs.
Yeah,
I know I have his page up here. I'm getting it. Keep going. Here we are. Nope, there we are. Let me switch over. Yeah, 2000. I'm on splits. He was better against righties, if you want to know.
Which is odd, being that a right-handed hitter, but...
Yeah. 2019 was the year he had 10 home runs, yeah.
Yeah. So he had 10 home runs, and 5 of them came off the bench.
Yeah.
I thought, I looked at this guy, I was like, man, this could be our first baseman. I mean...
He was definitely a better, defensive first baseman.
Yeah.
Than what we had there.
But we had Josh Bell there, so I kind of get it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I like
maybe
that.
He could have been a good piece to just have on the bench. You can use him as a pinch hitter for the pitcher late in the game. Go ahead and slide him into first to be a defensive replacement there. We could have used him.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's the other thing is so we started off with Gung. You're saying, cornerstone player, Taillon, ace. You're looking at Jose Osuna just to say, you were high enough to say he could have been a part of, even if it's just a bench role, he would have been productive.
Yeah.
And he didn't even end up being that.
And I think he could have been.
Even 2021.
If he was. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Year that we just had, he could have been better than Nagowski.
Yeah.
He could have been better than Ka'ai Tom.
Yeah.
Or even Polanco.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the problem is that you'd like to say he hit against lefties and Polanco against righties, but
yeah,
that didn't work for Osuna because he was better against righties, which is, you know, maybe the problem. But I think I'm okay with that because of the what we had going on at first base and outfield.
Yeah,
he certainly could have. He certainly could have helped this team.
Yeah.
2020, he had 4 home runs, 205 average, 244 on base.
And I think we gave up, like, you know, the Pirates gave up on him after that, but there was a lot of guys who just didn't do well in that year.
Yeah.
I feel like he'd just go in and just throw that year right out the window.
Yeah, I just think it's probably a matter of, you know, 40-man roster trying to get guys on and off, and Sherrington comes in, he wants to take a look at what he's got, and he didn't see it, so that's fair. Yeah, he didn't have a lot of great numbers, you know. I mean, the best he did was 2019, where he was coming off the bench a lot. 10 home runs, 264, only 95 games, but he played 105 games his rookie season, but less plate appearances. So it was more like even more off the bench. Still, 7 home runs, 269 on base. So, like, I don't know. I see that. And it's not like you're saying he was going to be the answer.
Right.
But I like that. High on him and just felt like he could have got a better shot. That's good. I will go with my next guy. I thought was the future closer for the Pirates. Vic Black.
Mm-hmm.
And I might have been the only guy super high on him. Like, to the point where for the next 2 years, I was like, MLB The Show, like, one of my first picks was trading for him. And I was always mad because I was like, oh, man, MLB The Show, you don't treat him good. But he had a rough go of it. I really thought he was going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And it just didn't work out for him. Barely came up with us before we dealt him. What was the deal? He was in the Marlon Byrd deal. Is that right?
Yeah.
So the Marlon Byrd deal at the end of the year, I mean, he was the player to be named later. That's right. We sent Dilson Herrera there.
Mm-hmm.
And we got Marlon Byrd for the end of the year, which was a great pickup to get Marlon Byrd. He was big time.
Yeah.
I remember going to one of the playoff games in St. Louis, and he had a pop-up to the infield. It was the game Garrett Cole won in St. Louis. And Petey with the big home run. But Marlon Byrd hit a pop-up to the infield at whatever age he was at that time. I mean, it was the end of his career, right? I mean, he was upper 30s at least. Or at least mid, I mean. And he rounds first, just booking it. And they drop the pop fly, and he ends up at second base. And I'm like, look at the dude just showing all these guys on the Pirates, like, this is how it's done. So I thought, just that moment right there, I was like, man, this is a good pickup. But anyway, player to be named later was Vic Black, and I was mad. I was like, we already gave him Dilson Herrera, which at the time, you know, some guys were high on Dilson Herrera, who ended up not being much. But Vic Black, I mean, if I can go back to this overview here. I think we looked at this too. 2014, with the Mets, he was at 2.60 ERA in 41 games, and I was like, then he fell off the face of the earth. What happened? Turns out he was injured quite a bit that year, and he got hurt. Oh, you know what? I got it on my other screen here. That's funny. He was shut down due to a shoulder strain. And then late September, they said he's shut down their whole year. And it was like he never recovered from that. He basically rehabbed the entire 2015 season. And then just never, like, we looked at it, his numbers were on the last page I was on, if you're watching. But, like, even his minor league.
They were bad.
They were bad. Well into the 5s and sometimes the 6s in ERAs. Never figured it out after that shoulder strain.
Never got back above, what was it, double A?
Double A. Never got back above AA, even played a little independent ball and did not fare well in independent ball and finally hung it up.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, was surprising. I really did. I was high on him. He was one of the guys that I thought, this guy's going to close games out for us. Makes me kind of wonder if Blake Cedarland is ever going to close games out for the Pirates. I mean, he's had so many injuries, and you just look at, like, we've looked at him as a guy who could possibly, be that guy. Just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
All right, next guy.
Next guy I got, Colin Moran.
Really recent pick here.
Yeah. I really thought the power would develop. He's got family history in the majors, and we're big on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, it could still develop. It really could. I think something could click. He could be another guy who's super late, like Brandon Moss. I mean, you don't know, but I think it was time to move on.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's interesting. High on Colin Moran. I mean, the Garrett Cole trade, I think we were all kind of reaching for something we wanted to be. I remember saying, like, Michael Felice could figure this out. He's got the stuff. He just hasn't been able to figure it out. I felt like maybe he could have been, and he just never. And Jason Martin was, I mean, you just felt like maybe something would click with him, but maybe not. It never did.
Yeah.
But Colin Moran was kind of the guy. I mean, obviously Joe Musgrove did work out.
Right.
So, but he was the big piece, I felt like. And I felt, you know what I mean, who was just kind of like getting his bearings at the major league level. And I thought, Joe Musgrove's going to be the guy. But when you get rid of Garrett Cole,
you were hoping to get two guys.
Yeah. And so Colin Moran, who was a former high prospect, you thought, okay, this could click for him. You know what I mean? I could see that. I don't know that. I mean, I guess once I started seeing him play, I had my doubts. Things a little bit slow.
Yeah.
I just felt like everything was a little bit slow, but he showed signs of, being a good hitter. But yeah, the power just never showed up really like you thought.
Right. I was high on him.
All right, this next guy, I know you were high on him too, because we used to talk about this all the time.
This has been a talk amongst us for years.
Years. Years. Yeah, years. Technically, still just 33 years old. You never know. My last guy is Jose Tabata. Jose Tabata was just a good hitter.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good hitter. He hit good. Came up at 21. We got him from the Yankees, right? That sound right? I think we got him from the Yankees. We sure did. We got him along with Jeff Carsons, Daniel McCutchen, and Ross Ollendorf for Damaso Marte and Xavier Nady. I mean, all four of those players played for the Pirates and were good.
Yeah. All 6 of those guys played for the Pirates and were good.
Yeah, the guys that we got rid of. And you're right.
Damaso Marte was good.
Yeah. Probably Damaso Marte the best of the 6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But and then the Pirates, you saw it on this page if you're watching, and then he was traded to the Dodgers for Mike Morse. And then like the next summer released and nothing. I guess he signed with the Blue Jays, and then I didn't even realize that. I'd like to look. We didn't look at the minor league numbers past that, but
no.
So he also, I mean, like he signed a deal with the Pirates, like an extension. He was part of that crew. I mean, it was worth much less than like the Polanco and the Marte deals and whatnot, and McCutchen and all those. But does it say actually? No, I mean total made was $13 million, so like there was money at least. Man, we paid for $4.5 million All right, sorry, sidetrack. Anyway, Jose Tabata basically hit 275 in his 6 years with Pittsburgh, and that's with a 243 thrown in there. So it was actually even better than that.
Yeah.
299, 346. 266, 349. So on base was still there even though the average dropped. There was the 243, 315. That was a rough year, 2012. And then 282, 342, 282, 314. So the walks went down a lot that year. 7 walks in 80 games. Yeah, they went down a lot.
Yeah, they did.
And then, just 27 games. So 289, 341. So right around 330, 340 on base. Now the slugging's not high because he didn't have a lot of power. 6 home runs was the most he ever hit. That was the most games he ever played in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And then his last 2 years, which were not very many games, like 80 games and 27 games, he didn't hit a single home run. Not even a lot of doubles. Like, he was a singles hitter with not a lot of speed, but he had good averages. Like, his last 3 years, he was above 280, 282, 282, 289. And his on base, with that 1 year being the weird, 314. But other than that, consistently in the 340s in the on base, too.
Yeah.
And just felt like he never got a shot because of Starling Marte and then Gregory Polanco coming up towards the end of his time, which is obviously why he probably found his way out. But yeah, I just thought that Jose Tabata was gonna be a lot better. 4th outfielder, yes. On that team because we were so excited for that outfield.
Right.
But before Polanco and before Marte, even, I don't understand how 106 games was the most he ever played.
Right.
I felt like I don't know. I would have rather had him than Xavier Nady out there.
Yes. I'd have rather had him out there than a lot of people.
Travis Snyder.
Yes.
Got a lot of playing time instead of him. Even Garrett Jones, but Garrett Jones played a lot of first base too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how much of this overlaps. Let me see. Maybe last thing's Millage. Niger Morgan, maybe? He would have been mostly center field. But then McLeod was in center, so because Tabata was not a center fielder. He was going to be in a corner. He wasn't that fast. He was just a hitter. Yeah. I think Jose Osuna kind of reminded me of him a little bit with more pop. But they just kind of had that same thing where I don't know. Maybe their swing was similar. I don't know. Either way, Jose Tabata was my guy. I was really high on him. And
me too.
whether it was he never got the shot or whether he just maybe they just put him in the opportunities that he could succeed in, but we've always been high on Jose Tabata.
I just think he didn't get that shot because he didn't have pop, and we had some guys that did.
Yeah, and we needed to score runs, and homers, chicks dig the long ball. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's good. So we do have a couple that we're low on, and they proved us wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of these are kind of interesting. Actually, all of them, because they're all good. But I don't think that we all thought they were bad. I'm not bringing up a guy that was I thought this guy was trash.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
you got 2 of them.
Yeah,
so
I do have 2 of them.
ahead.
So I'm going to start off with a guy who's just recently gone, and that's Jacob Stallings. It's probably not that much of a surprise. I mean, I've kind of made it a little bit. Not that, like I said, not that I thought he was dog water. You know what I mean? My comp for Jacob Stallings was Chris Stewart. I thought they were identical. that there's very little power, very like smart players, a really good backup catcher, tall guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's even throw in the tall guy. You're 6'5" and you don't have power, or 6'4" and you don't have power. It seemed weird, right? But they were both good with the pitching staff. They were both good catchers. You know, Chris Stewart did the whole smart hitting thing, and I just felt like Stallings was good in those like clutch moments too. So he had a lot of that. That was my comp. He's better than Stewart, and he showed that, especially last year. He outplayed that comp. I still do think they're similar players, and I don't know that, like, it's not like I believe all of a sudden that Stallings is going to play like Russell Martin did when he was in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I'm saying. But I was lower on him than even a Gold Glove. I thought backup for sure.
Yeah. I can get on board with that. My low guy, and you kind of touched on this. You went out of your way because Cole Tucker was making his major league debut.
Yeah.
There was another guy who made his major league debut that day that you didn't mention, that you went out of your way to watch him.
No, yeah, I went out of my way to watch Cole Tucker, but as a result, I watched Brian Reynolds get 2 hits.
Yeah, Brian Reynolds kind of, got him in the kickback in the McCutchen deal.
Mm-hmm.
We thought Kyle Crick was the big piece on that.
Yeah, and we were also just mad.
Yes. And so Reynolds just kind of slipped right in there. He said...
Quietly, right? That's who he is.
Yeah, he is super quietly. He just said, watch this. Hey, watch what I can do.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, not by any means that I think he stunk. Again, this is what this is.
None of these.
It just didn't realize he was going to be a guy who could hit 30 homers.
Yeah, and I feel like he could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like it was like, hey, this guy's a pretty good hitter. I mean, he's kind of old, so I don't really know if he's going to be great at the major league level or. But man, let alone. Like, you know what I mean? He could be a guy that you could see playing an offensive part like Neil Walker. He's not the guy. But you could see him hitting right behind the guy and, you know what I mean, adding some, or right in front of the guy.
Right, yeah.
And adding some offensive value for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm with you there, I think. I mean, certainly with you there because you just don't, I mean, like, until we started paying attention, until he started hitting and we started looking back, we were like, this dude's never not hit 300. And then, then 2020 happened, but like before that, you know what I mean? When we started getting excited about him, you're right. I wasn't excited about him.
Right.
I remember, me and Mom went to that game because it was like there was something going on. I don't remember what was going on. And I called her. I was like, "Hey, I bought tickets to the game. You want to go?" I think it was right around Mother's Day, right? Because that's what I said, like this, I'm going to take you for or her birthday or Mother's Day or one of those. Anyway.
Yeah.
Went to the game, and I was telling her, I was like, hey, this Brian Reynolds guy is a guy we got in the Kutch trade. So, I mean, I don't want to hate him because we got him for Kutch, but, hopefully he's good too. I don't know, but we get to see 2 guys today. And he's starting, so. Yeah. But it was, it was Cole Tucker. We wanted to see that.
Yeah.
That's a good. So you're not like, it's not really like a low necessarily. It's an overlooked, and that's fair. So for me, I was low on Jason Grilli, and I was low like when he started doing well. I was still low.
Yeah,
I was like, don't get used to it. I mean, this guy's an old dude. I was like, he just looks like a dad out there throwing, and I just didn't think that it would last. I mean. Talk about a guy who he figured it out very late.
Yeah.
So Jason Grilli was my guy that I just,
grilled cheese.
It was the grilled cheese. And I ended up liking him. You know what I mean? I ended up liking him, obviously. But it took me a little while. Everybody else started getting high on him, and I'm like, this is just like the... There's a few guys, and maybe we'll do a list about this, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to make it through without bringing this up. But there's a few guys in our, last 20 years that Pirate fans latch onto that I'm like, guys, you're getting the wrong guy. And they're all guys that you really like. You know what I mean? Because you like them.
Yes.
But like they're probably not the best player. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or no other team is even thinking about Rob Makoviak. But we love Rob Makoviak.
Yep.
And Garrett Jones and Jason Grilly, in my opinion, is on that list. And I was afraid that A.J. Burnett was going to be, but he was a stud. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I was afraid that, some of these guys were just going to be that guy that we like. And then he ends up not, kind of like, for me, kind of like Jose Tabata.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe not quite as much. Like Jacob Stallings, like Michael McHenry. These are guys we like to like. Mm-hmm. Like Andrew McCutcheon, he made it easy on all of us.
Right.
Because he had the total package.
Yeah. But
anyway, these likable guys, Jason Grilly was one because you were like, he doesn't look much different than me. I think I could do it. Every pitch he threw, he kind of grabbed the back of his belt, his pants, and just kind of hiked them up. You know what I mean? Like, just like your dad did because he forgot his belt at home. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to pull these up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then throw the next pitch and then just kind of hike them up again a little bit. Like, that's what he felt like to me. I was very low on Jason Grilly for that reason.
Funny. Yeah.
And grilled cheese ended up doing really well for us.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
So honorable mentions here, and then we'll do one more thing, and then we'll get out of here. Honorable mentions, for me, Pedro Alvarez. I know he was good, but like so many of us remember, sure, the strikeouts were there, but that's not rare.
Right.
But so many of us remember the yips and the throwing across the field. He actually wasn't a bad third baseman before that.
No.
With a great arm. Couldn't throw it accurate. Ruined his entire game.
He fielded everything.
He still went to first, and he still hit 27 homers the 1 year at first base, but it was just rough defensively. And it bothered him. And he wasn't a guy that would show you, just like Brian Reynolds wouldn't show you. Every once in a while, you see it. Pedro Alvarez was a lot like that. Very quiet, very, you know what I mean? But the dude just mashed. He was clutch, had an RBI in every playoff game. I just thought this guy's going to stick around and hit 30 homers a year for a while.
Yeah.
And we're not going to trade him like we did Aramis Ramirez. And it didn't happen. Like, once the yips got him, dude, he struggled.
Got him.
And it was a bummer because I was a big fan of his. And I had to defend him for years with some family members.
Yeah, I was a big fan of him at third base. Like, I liked him at third base.
I like the lefty bat at PNC Park and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's honorable mention there. One that both of us had was Jose Castillo. Just always thought he would do more.
Yeah.
And his thing was like Freddie Sanchez came into the scene and it was, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Freddie Sanchez was better, but I thought Jose Castillo would click. Mm-hmm. He was really good with the double plays, him and Jack Wilson, and then
they set like the record at one point, right?
I think so, yeah. It was those two.
Man.
And then one more. You got one more honorable mention.
I do. Casey McGee. I thought that was going to be a huge pickup for us when we got him. You know, he had 2 really good years in Milwaukee, and then he had a down year. I'm like, all right, now we're going to get him on that bounce back off his rough year, and he never bounced back.
No, he went worse the next 3 years. Like it kept getting bad.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't really remember liking that deal, but I don't really remember not like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there was nothing that really stands out on that. But yeah, so now the reason why in the heck did we decide to do this, right? Other than we've got nothing else to talk about because these guys won't agree on anything. They're not even talking about it, by the way. Like all the things that they disagree with, they're not talking about till January.
Yeah.
They're talking about other things right now. I forget what I saw that they were talking about right now. I actually don't even remember. I'm not even going to try to think. I'm really tired. I had a long week.
Yeah.
I got back. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we did not get a chance to talk before this. So we planned all of this tonight. It's 10 to 1 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But anyway, that's not the only reason. Kind of the point in saying this is like you're going to have what you think about a lot of guys. There's guys right now, especially right now. We've got so many young guys, so many guys who aren't proven yet. We even talked about Cole Tucker maybe not being done proving who he is.
Yeah.
Maybe he is, and we just don't know yet. But he's got more baseball to play. But we kind of brought up like the fact that like, hey man, we're going to be wrong on guys. And we're going to be right on some guys. I was never, John Nagowski, I said, this is lightning in a bottle. And I ended up being right, but I wasn't right about Yoshi. I said he was lightning in a bottle. I said, this is going to be the same thing as John Nagowski. He'll be gone by the end of the year. And he wasn't. He was solid. You know what I mean? He was fine. Yeah. You can't play right field, but you know what I mean? He proved me wrong for that short stint. The verdict's still out on whether or not it was lightning in a bottle. But I thought it would have faded.
It was a bigger. If it was a lightning in a bottle, it was a bigger bottle than Nagowski had.
Yeah, well, yeah, no doubt. But Nagowski, I'm sorry, Yoshi's got more time to prove it, so we'll see. Verdict's still out as far as me. You could say I'm still low on him. I could be wrong. I could be right. Doesn't matter. Point is, it's all fun to talk about. So who do you have? So obviously that's my guy, right? I'm right. Still low on Yoshi. He's my guy right now. That I'm still low on. I didn't really pick a high, so I need to think of that real quick. Okay. Like who am I high on? All right, I'm gonna look while you go over your guys.
Yeah, my low guy I have is Hoy Park. I think he's gonna get an extended look again next year, but I'm just not sold on him. I don't see it.
Yeah.
He come over and which trade? I know it was with the Yankees, but I don't know I can't remember if it was the Tyone deal or the Clay Holmes deal he came over. But
it was later, so
it would have been the Holmes deal.
Yeah. Maybe. I'll let you know in a second if you want to keep talking.
But yeah, I just don't see it. He just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah. It was the Clay Holmes, him and Diego Castillo.
Okay. Maybe that's a little bit because I'm high on Michael Chavis. And they kind of both play the same spot. So I like the way, and you could blame this on the Chavis fitting that mold as the Neil Walker type, the Garrett Jones type, Makoviak, maybe. Just looks like he fits that part. Seems to be a hard worker. I like the way he plays. I think it'll play.
Okay. Man, I don't really have a guy. I guess you could say like there's still a bunch of guys that I'm excited about. I'm still excited about Travis Swaggerty. Hoping that kind of gets fixed. I'm high on Miguel Yajure. I think he's better than he dealt with some injuries. I know he didn't throw hard. You don't have to throw hard to be good. The guys that we're all high on, Ronzi Contreras, Bednar, There's a lot of guys who are low on Tucupita Marcano. Quite a few who are low on him. So, Hoy Park, Tucupita, Mitch Keller. The thing is there's a lot of guys that we're low on right now. Now, I know that we're not talking about, you could say Anthony Alford. I'm low on Anthony Alford. He definitely could surprise me. A lot of people are just done with guys like Cole Tucker, but they were, they were done with Polanco before I was too. Mm-hmm. Kevin Newman. A lot of people were, low on a lot of these guys. People are low on Roberto Perez because he's the guy that's not Jacob Stallings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that they're not going to... Jason Grilli ended up being good. His track record showed that he wasn't. And he ended up being good.
Yeah.
So you never know. Francisco Liriano looked like he wasn't going to be good. Maybe Quintana will be. Liriano did. We were low on Liriano. And if you weren't, I'm not sure why. You had no more reason to be low on you had no more reason to be high on Liriano as you did Chris Archer. As you did
I don't think that's a fair comp.
Edinson Volquez.
I don't think those are fair comps.
Why?
Because Liriano was an absolute monster in Minnesota for a few years.
So was Archer in Tampa.
Archer was never a monster.
Yeah, he was.
We disagree on this.
Okay. Numbers, maybe not as long as Liriano was, but Liriano was also worse off than Archer.
Yeah, but Liriano was side by side with Johan Santana, being able to pick that brain.
I'm not looking at the numbers right now. That's fair, right. But the point is both of them were Cy Young votes and falling apart. But Liriano found his way all the way to the bullpen before coming over, which is what Quintana did.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. However you slice it, the point is they both were not good.
Yeah.
And they both had high pedigree to be good. All three, if you include Quintana in that. And Edinson Volquez, who actually didn't have the pedigree to be as good as either of the three that we just mentioned, and ended up being really good.
And he was good after he left us, too.
Yeah.
He had a few more good years with some other people.
Yeah. So, anyway. The idea is that you can be low on guys that can end up proving you wrong, and that's fine. You can be high on guys that end up not working out. And that's fine, too. And it's still fun to take a look at them. You don't have to be low on everyone just so you can be wrong in the right way.
Right.
It's another argument where I think a lot of people are like, he stinks. You just want to say that so that when he's good, you can be like, wow, that came out of nowhere. Rather than being wrong the other way, which feels more painful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you think somebody's going to be really good, there's hope involved. If you take hope out of it, then it's a pleasant surprise. You put hope in it, and then you're just bummed. You don't have to be bummed either. Like, this is all... It's fine. It's right. It's fine. Everything's fine. Yep. But you're going to be wrong about some people, and that's okay. But it's fun to be high and low on people. It's not fun to be low on people. It is fun to be high on people. I think you subscribe to that more often. I more often hear you excited about a guy than I do hear you say, that guy stinks, get him out of here.
Yeah.
More often. You know what I mean? More often, you're more or less, if you don't like a guy necessarily, you tend to just not talk about him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It's true. It's fair.
This is how I feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like I wish I was that way more often than I am. I think there are some guys that I kind of get annoyed. Like when the Thrillip Evans stuff was going on, because I was like, man, I just don't know if this isn't going to last, guys. And I wanted it to, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what made it annoying to me is like, why can't I just get on board with this? Because, like, the dude's doing well. But I don't know. There's just some guys, and like I said, I've been wrong probably more than, as far as like when I'm saying like this guy's not good, like the Yoshi thing, you know what I mean? I just was like, this guy's not going to ever be any good. And he's better than I thought, so. Bryce Wilson's been good for me. I was kind of like, what are we doing? Yeah. And he's been good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good thing. Anyway, that's all. That's what we're talking about. That's our stuff for tonight. Yep. This is what it's done. Good time. No, it is fun. It is fun. But it is kind of like a, man, I really wish we were talking about the Pirates roster and what we were doing. You know what I mean? So maybe it will, maybe it won't. Until then, I think it'd be fun for some of you guys that do send us feedback and that do, whether you text us or whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, send us a direct message or whatever. Tell us some guys that you either are, or give me one of each of the guys that are there now, or guys that maybe we mentioned or guys we didn't mention that you were either super high on and they didn't work out, or you thought, why are we wasting our time, and they end up being good, or guys that you were low on and they left Pittsburgh, like the Jose Bautista thing, right?
Yeah.
Let us know those guys where you were like, man, we really thought this guy was nothing. He left Pittsburgh and ended up being Jose Bautista.
Right.
You got any other situations like that? Or how about like Nate McLouth? Like, we thought Nate McLouth was amazing. Yeah. And how many people in Pittsburgh were so mad that they traded Nate McLouth? Mm-hmm. And the Pirates were doing it to make way for Andrew McCutchen. Yeah. Which is also kind of goofy. Like, well, we couldn't want him to just play left field. But either way, everybody was so mad about the Nate McLouth deal. And like Nate McLouth never figured it out after he left Pittsburgh. Right? He had like a half decent year in Atlanta, and then or he had a decent year in Atlanta. Then it kind of fell apart in his 3 years there, I think we looked up. Mm-hmm. But like, we all had it, you know what I mean? Like, we just had him so high, and his best years were behind him.
Right.
And they weren't anywhere near the stuff that McCutchen could do. Mm-hmm. You know? But, yeah. Let me know who your guys were. Was it Nate McLouth? You know, did you think Nate McLouth was leaving Pittsburgh and winning an MVP? That's what I want to hear. Did you think that Nate McLouth was on his way to winning an MVP after he left Pittsburgh? I would like to know, because I bet there's people out there who thought he would have.
Yeah, I bet there are.
I mean, he was a good player. Mm-hmm. Gold Glove, right?
Fast. Could hit for
super
power.
Speed. Hit 20-some homers 1 year or 2 years maybe. Either way, let us know. Let us know what you guys were low on, high on in the past. And I want to know if there's anybody out there who thought that Barry Bonds was going to, after he left Pittsburgh. That would be interesting. They would never admit it.
No, they wouldn't.
Somebody lie to me and tell me you thought he was going to fall apart. It'd have to be so. It'd have to be one of our older, you know what I mean? Like, we were kids. Mm-hmm. So we certainly wouldn't have thought it. All we thought was like Barry Bonds.
I was 5.
You were 5? Yeah. Yeah.
No, 6.
6. Jeez.
92.
Well, yeah.
Because it was after the 92 season.
It didn't matter. When we were kids, we wanted autographs, and he was like, I'm not giving you an autograph. He was a jerk. Anyway, that's all we have.
Yeah.
Twitter, Bridge, #2, Buctober, all those things. I didn't cue up music. We're gonna play the same daggum song we started with. Because I didn't cue up any music.
Hey, everybody listen and have a good Christmas.
Oh yeah. That's literally
a great time of year.
Look, wait. Boom. Look at the bottom of the screen there if you're on YouTube. Merry Christmas. you filthy animal. It will be Christmas before you hear the next one, so this is the Christmas week. Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm really bad at remembering these things.
It's all good, man.
You're going to be on me on the Christmas thing now. You're always going to remind me of that.
Yeah. I love it.
So, yeah, I know. I'm having more fun with it, with the kids.
Yeah.
I probably spent a little too much money this year. But
it's fine. Do it every year.
Yeah. No. Anyway, Merry Christmas and let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.